Hi everyone, welcome to episode 9 of the Hilo Stitch podcast. I am your host Kristen of Maybe a Better One Designs, and I am here to talk to you about what else? Knitting. I'll also be talking about knitting pattern design, events in the fiber arts community, and there's always a pretty good chance that at some point during the show I will mention Diego Luna, just so you're aware. So thank you so much for joining me today. Special thank you to my Patreon patrons who help support the podcast. If you are interested in supporting the podcast, I'll have a little bit more info about that at the end of the show. I also want to extend a special welcome to any new viewers who are joining us for the first time. So if you don't know me already, my name is Kristen Janik. I'm a knitting pattern designer and instructor. And I am the mom to 2 mischievous little boys and wife to a very tall man from Peru. We live in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C. And I love, baseball, wine, yoga, and of course, knitting. So let's start talking about it. Who's that? That's right. Can you say hi? Hi, everyone. What's your name? Me? What's your name? And your name is? Ali. And Ali, what did you do this week? You went to school? Mm-hmm. Do you have a new teacher? Miss Susan and Miss Haley. And was school fun? It was fun? What did you learn about? You learned about an airplane? Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Okay. Again, I'm not sure what that means. Did you have fun at school? Yeah, the metro? Did you have fun at school this week? With the metro subway? Okay. Did you have fun at school this week? With the metro subway. And what do you use when you're at school? Your talk, or does that help you talk to your teachers? You want a pink metro subway train and a freight train and a yellow bus. Okay, but who do you have to tell? Santa, not Mama. What do you think of this hat? You want to put it on? You're going to put it on for me? Oh, good job. Can you say, we'll tell you about this hat later? Wait, yeah, that's a pom-pom. Do you like it? Is it soft and fuzzy? Yeah. Is it soft and fuzzy? It's soft and fuzzy. Yeah. Thank you. All right. That's it landed on the spinning wheel. Did you throw my hat on the spinning wheel? That's not very nice. What do you think you're doing? Mwah, you booger. You got lipstick on you. All right, you say bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Off you go. I'll be with you in a minute. So summer is officially over. I have made it. I survived. The kids survived. And now they are both back in school. CJ started the day after Labor Day, and Ali just started this past Monday. Pre-K starts a week later. So they are now in pre-K and first grade. This is actually Ollie's 3rd year of pre-K. If you've watched previous episodes, you know that he's old enough to have gone to kindergarten this year, but for a couple of reasons, we didn't feel that he was quite ready, so he's doing another year of pre-K. As you could hear, he can't he can't talk, which is the primary reason we decided to wait. Hopefully by the end of another year of pre-K, he is going to be using his talker, which is like a tablet device. Of course, there's a garbage truck. Hopefully by the end of another year of pre-K, he's going to be using that more reliably to communicate. I can understand him quite a bit, but really nobody else can. And in order to be in a kindergarten classroom, he really needs to be able to communicate. That is one loud garbage truck. So he's doing another year of pre-K. JJ has started first grade. He loves it. He loves school. We did the back to school night. Learned about what he's going to be learning. They're implementing some new math curriculum that I think sounds stupid, but I'm not the one who has to learn it. So, and I got a little bit of information about the PTA. I don't know that I really want to be a PTA mom, but JJ's going to be staying at his school for now. Ollie's in a special program at an elementary school that is a little bit further away. We're not sure where he's going to be when he starts kindergarten, so we haven't really gotten involved in his school. And the pre-K is kind of not very connected with the school community anyway. But now that JJ's in first grade, we had considered sending him to Catholic school. That's, I always went to Catholic school, and while I have a lot of problems with the Catholic Church itself, I found that Catholic schools do have a sense of community that I think is valuable. And, they're just smaller and more tight-knit. So one of the things I don't like so much about JJ's school is that because it's so large, there are like 5 first grades, and they each have almost 20 students. And because kids are taking the bus, you don't really meet a lot of other families. But JJ has an IEP because he's on the spectrum, and he has some behavior concerns and problems with socializing, and the Catholic school would find it more difficult to accommodate his IEP. They've really got a lot of specialists and special educators at his elementary school that are working out well for him. And also Catholic school is really expensive. It is $8,000 a year. I sell knitting patterns, so that is just not in our budget at this time. So for now, at least, JJ is going to be staying at his school through 5th grade. And I feel like maybe I should start trying to get a little bit more involved. Maybe. So I got some information about the PTA. But really the good news is Ollie is still only going to school in the morning, but that's an hour and a half that I get to myself, which I usually use to do work. So hopefully I can get back on track a little bit better with some of my design work. So I hope you enjoyed this month's special guest star. All right, so since it's already sitting here in my lap, let's go ahead and get started with some adelante, and I give you a sneak peek of design in progress. There we go. All right, so this is a new cardigan design. Yeah, oops, let's get that yarn out of the way. There we go. So this is, my last sweater pattern was, I guess, more classic and reserved, neutral color kind of, lots of cables, classic design. This one is a lot more playful. So this is designed to be sort of a cozy, throw on at any time, comfortable cardigan that'll work for you throughout the fall and winter. And as you can see, I'm using sort of this bright, playful, speckled yarn. This is Hedgehog Fibers Merino Aran, and the colorway is Dijon. So I'm specifically designing this to work with sort of lightly variegated and speckled yarns like this. So as you can see, I'm using a big kind of bold cable. This is the back. that really stands out even in the variegated yarn, although maybe not in this light particular, but you can really see that cable. So this is an open front cardigan that is a drop shoulder worked from the bottom up. And the front bands are worked contiguously with the piece. A lot of yarn hanging out here. So the front bands are worked in, this is fisherman's rib, and it has pockets. So obviously this really needs blocking to show it off. But it's got a pocket. This is the right front. The pocket hasn't been seamed to the bottom, so that needs to be seamed down there. But I've designed it so that you are kind of knitting it in, working it up from the bottom, and then all you have to do is seam the inside here. And the pocket itself is worked up, and then these stitches here where the pocket ends are worked together with the main body of the sweater. So there's very little seaming just at the bottom of the pocket. And I still will be picking up sort of an edging trim along the side of the pocket so it doesn't curl in like that. And then you can see another sort of big cable on the front, and it's also on the sides, along the side over here. So this is just a variation of the back cable. All right, so that's, you really can't see much when I hold it like this. It really needs blocking, and it's just still in progress. But it's got these big bold cables, the pockets, the collar, as I said, or the front bands are worked with the piece. And then it's going to be a shawl collar around, and you're just going to seam it at the back of the neck. And it has sort of a big split along the side seam, so it's going to be just very loose and comfortable. As I said, this is a drop shoulder, so sleeves are just going to be picked up around the armholes and worked down in the round. There's no waist shaping. It's just supposed to be a very comfortable sort of throw on, you know, light jacket style cardigan for fall and winter. It is worked in merino Aran, so it's an Aran weight yarn. It's extra warm and soft. The fisherman's rib is extra squishy. I'm really enjoying working on this. I'm hoping to release this sort of end of October, early November. If you are interested in maybe test knitting this, if this looks like something that would be of interest to you, send me a message and I'll get you more information about test knitting. But this is the big piece that I have in the works right now. This is my last sweater for 2019. I do have a couple of more accessories that are going to be coming out, and I have a sweater that's coming out in a magazine. But this is my last indie sweater pattern for the year. I'm already putting lots of thought into sweaters for the new year. Looking at my sales for the year and sort of sales trends and things, it is very clear that the patterns that sell are sweaters and shawls. To a lesser degree, socks, but really sweaters and shawls are the biggest thing. So I've done this will be the 5th sweater for the year. I did Mándame Flores and Soundside, which both came out in May. Then I did Diego in August. I have the sweater coming out in the magazine. It's a winter issue of the magazine, so I'm October, November, and then this one. So 5 sweaters for the year. I'm gonna hope to maybe bump it up to 6 next year. but it really seems like sweaters are the way to go, and that's really what I love knitting best, so that's definitely not a problem for me. I'm always happy to do more sweaters, and hopefully you'll be seeing some more sweaters next year, but that's the last one for this year. So for the first time in quite a long time, I actually had something off the needles. I know, it's a miracle. I finished my Ripple Bralette, and I love it. It is so comfortable. I want to just preface this by saying, you know, this is wool yarn in a ribbing. I mean, this is not super supportive. So if you are very well endowed, you probably want to make your Ripple Bralette large enough to put a bra on, a real bra on underneath. For me, I am not particularly gifted in that area, so I still probably wouldn't wear this, you know, out and about, but this is very comfortable to wear at home. And I love it. So first, I love the yarn that I chose, which is Western Sky Knits Merino Cashmere Nylon Sock Yarn. I'm sure it has an actual name, the base. And the colorway is Monarch. I'm not sure why, because I don't see actually a lot of Monarch colors in here. Like, Monarchs are black and orange, right? But anyway. This has a lot of fall colors in it. So you can see it does have some oranges, some browns, dark grays. The background is a very pale pink. So I love this color. It's very fallish. Second, I chose to do the racerback straps. So they crisscross like this on the back. I love that. I think it just gives it a little extra something. I also find that it's maybe a little bit more supportive than just straight straps, which will probably stretch out over time and maybe slip down, but it's much harder for the straps to slip if they're crossing each other. I'm really glad that I chose the Merino Cashmere Nylon, because it's very soft. Obviously, I'm wearing this right next to the skin. So that was a good choice, I think. This is, I knit the size medium. I didn't swatch. I know I say always swatch. But the reason I did not swatch for this particular project is because it is all in ribbing. And sort of ribbing is much more flexible and can stretch as much or as little as it needs to. You know, if I wanted it to be stretchier, I could stretch it out more when blocking. But ribbing is specifically designed to be very flexible. So that is why I didn't swatch. But do as I say, not as I do. I love the straps on this, which are just like an I-cord. So they have a little bit of flexibility. The back has this sort of twisted rib along the top of the back, and then the whole thing has twisted rib around. And then the body is worked in this 3x3 rib. It's just some really nice shaping right along the triangle part of the cups. So I'm so happy with this project. The pattern was very clear and well written. I have absolutely no complaints about it. I know that Jessie May is working on a new bralette pattern, which is the framework bralette, and I've seen so many pictures and I'm already very excited for that. I did not weigh this, but I have a lot of yarn left over, so I want to say this used maybe half the ball, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was only like a third. So I could probably make another bralette with what's left. So maybe I will use that for the framework bralette when that pattern comes out. Probably I'll mix it up a little bit. But this is just such a nice underlayer, especially for this time of the year, to get cozy at home. You know, let's face it, bras are not that comfortable. But when you're not wearing a bra, that's not necessarily comfortable either. So this just gives you a little bit more support. That maybe, you know, like I said, I probably would not wear it out and about. But for wearing at home, for relaxing, I love it. Definitely a good choice. I will include links to everything in the show notes so that you can find the pattern, support the designer, and make your own Ripple Bralette. I am sure you will love it as well and will want to make like 10 of them. So actually got something off the needles, Ripple Bralette. Now, as far as things I have on the needles, I haven't started any new personal projects. Like I said, I am waiting for the new framework bralette pattern. Also, Carrie, I can't remember her last name, Carrie Knits, who presumably has a real last name that's not Knits, has a sort of front twist, knot t-shirt pattern coming out later this month that I'm really excited for. So I'm trying to hold off on any new, even though it's fall and I definitely have startitis, I'm trying to hold off on any new cast-ons because I know those two things are coming up. But I am working, of course, on designs. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek on what I started on for the Knot Mystery Knit Along. So if you are new to the podcast or to Media Peruana Designs, the Knot Mystery Knit Along is a knit along that I host every fall, where I create a new pattern and I deliver the pattern in segments weekly, like a mystery knit along. However, I show you guys what one option looks like before it starts. But each week when you get your new section of the pattern, it will include multiple options. So it's kind of a mystery because you don't know exactly what it's going to look like until you're done, because you're going to make choices throughout the knit along. But you've already seen, you know, one version, so it's not a complete mystery. So that's why I call it the Knot Mystery Knit Along. So I have started. This year's Knot Mystery Knit Along pattern is a shawl, just like last year, but I let you guys vote this time and you picked another shawl. This one's gonna have a unique construction, so you can see I am starting from the center out with a square. You can also see I'm using two different yarns. One is a regular fingering weight yarn, it's orange, and a mohair yarn. So throughout the Knot Mystery Knit Along pattern, we are going to be playing with combining and alternating a regular fingering weight sock yarn with a lace weight mohair, and we'll see where we go from there. So far I started with just the sock yarn. I blended both together here, and now I've got a few rounds that are just the mohair. Again, I'm starting out from this square shape, and we'll see where it goes from here. The shawl itself will not be square, but it is starting from a square shape. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff going on with the, people are yelling, with the Knot Mystery Knit Along project this year, because we're going to be mixing it up with a very unique shawl construction. So you just get a little sneak peek. So between that and my cardigan design in progress, that's all that I have on the needles right now. All right, we are going to try a fun new segment that has absolutely nothing to do with knitting. But you will hopefully still enjoy, and of course if you don't, you can just fast forward through it. So this segment is called Raise a Glass, and we are going to be talking about drinks. And this month we are going to be talking about pumpkin ale because fall is coming. It is nice and cool today. It was 90 degrees yesterday. but it's nice and cool today. There's a breeze, the windows are open. I'm wearing jeans and a longer sleeve top. Fall is coming, and so we need to talk about pumpkin ale. I like pumpkin spice lattes. I like pumpkin pie. But I'm not in favor of like everything pumpkin spice, you know, but to each their own. There's nothing wrong with liking pumpkin spice. I feel like everybody's trying to make a pumpkin beer now, and some people are terrible at it. I've tried quite a few, and so I'm going to talk to you about the 3 best pumpkin ales. Now, I have 2 of them here to show you. One of them I'll have to pop a picture in. So we're going to start with the least pumpkin-y. All right, so this is Flying Dog, which is based in Frederick, Maryland, and it is called The Fear. And yes, all of their beer labels are this creepy. Flying Dog in general, I like their beers, not all of them. In the summertime, they have, I'm gonna forget what it's called, Dead Rise, which is a Old Bay spiced beer. It sounds gross. It's really very good. So I like a lot of their beers. They are local, but I think you can find them sort of at least throughout the mid-Atlantic, if not further afield. So their pumpkin ale is called The Fear. I don't know, they have some nonsense on the label. So, but it doesn't actually tell you anything about the beer, which really annoys me. I like when the bottle at least tells you a little bit about the actual beer, not why is there only one time a year when we embrace the fear. But at any rate, it is 9% alcohol. So this is a strong beer, but the flavor isn't too strong. So this is sort of a lighter pumpkin ale. The beer itself is not light. It's not too heavy because I don't like, you know, like stouts and porters are not really my thing. I prefer IPAs, and I also like sour beers, but I also don't like beers that are super light. So you are not gonna find me ever drinking, you know, Coors Light or Bud Light. It doesn't taste like anything. So if I'm gonna have a beer, I want it to taste like something. So this is sort of mid-range. It's not super heavy. It's not super light. It's not super sweet either. It has like a little bit of spiciness. If you weren't told it was a pumpkin ale, you might not think. You would be like, oh, this is kind of spicy, but you might not think, oh, pumpkin beer. So what it says is ale brewed with pumpkin and spices. In general, I find the pumpkin flavor relatively minimal. It is a little bit spicy. So if you're not completely sold on pumpkin ales, this might be a good one to try. So again, The Fear by Flying Dog. The next one is my go-to pumpkin ale. This is my absolute favorite in terms of pumpkin ale. So this is Pumpkin Ale by Dogfish. In my personal opinion is that this is the best pumpkin ale. It is slightly sweet. It is more spicy, but it is not overly sweet. And it is, again, sort of not a super light, not a super heavy beer. Let's see, do they have any? Again, brown ale brewed with pumpkin and spices. So that doesn't really say a whole lot about it. This one is 7% alcohol, so this is not gonna kill you. You could maybe drink a couple of these. It's okay out of the bottle. if you can find it on draft somewhere, I think it's better that way. But this, in my opinion, is the best pumpkin ale. If you want to try a pumpkin ale that is less fruity, not too sweet, but it has a very distinct pumpkin taste. So this one, you would taste it and you would definitely say, yes, this is pumpkin ale, as opposed to the other one, which you'd be like, oh, it's kind of spicy. No, this one definitely tastes like pumpkin ale. To me, this tastes like fall. We got married in October, and when we did, we bought like 2 cases of this, and it was like the only beer we had at our wedding. We got married at a winery, so there was lots of wine at our wedding. There were pisco sours at our wedding because my husband is Peruvian. But I think this was the only beer we had at our wedding because it was so good. And there was leftover beer, and one of my husband's asshole friends took it home with him. My favorite pumpkin ale. So if you're looking for Kristen's personal favorite pumpkin ale, it's going to be pumpkin ale from Dogfish. And then the last one, like I said, I don't have here, but I will pop a picture in just so you can see what it looks like. If you go into the store and you need to know what to look for. So this is, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Shaftle Pumpkin Ale. This one is good. It's very highly rated, but it is much sweeter. So this, if you don't like sweet, fruity, desserty kind of beers, this one maybe is not for you. But if you are really looking for a pumpkin ale that maybe is a bit more akin to pumpkin pie, with a little bit of sugar, this is a good one. So I don't drink this one super often because it is a little sweet for me. And I don't necessarily like my beers to be sweet. But I do like to have a few throughout the season. It has like a hint of kind of an aftertaste, which it's one of those things where, if you drink one, you're fine. But if you drink more than one, you start to kind of get that aftertaste in your mouth, which is also how I feel about sour beer. I love sour beer, but after 1 or 2, the sourness just starts to give it an aftertaste, and I don't care for it anymore. So this is probably not like, if you're having a party, you want to get lots of this pumpkin ale, because I don't think that people are going to be drinking it all night. It's just too sweet. But if you are looking for something a little sweeter, you want to kind of combine your dessert and your beer at the same time, Shaftle Pumpkin Ale, I think is a good choice for that. So there you have it, my review of my favorite pumpkin ales for the fall season. All right, so this month for Pattern Drop, I actually had 2 things. One of them is kind of right behind me, but it was sitting in my bag and got wrinkled, so I'm not going to show you that. What I'm going to do is pop a picture in here. This is the Fox Hollow Capelet. This was originally published by I Like Knitting magazine in their October 2018 issue. It is now available as an indie pattern. I re-released it earlier this month, and I have added 4 sizes. So now the pattern includes 2 sort of teenager sizes and 3 adult sizes. So it's just a little bit more flexible for hopefully meeting your needs or the needs of your little ones. This is just a little capelet design with a front pleat, and the pleat folds over, just a little bit of a simple eyelet lace pattern. The original here was knit in Harrisville Designs Flywheel. I think it's Flywheel. I'll double check. Which is a sport weight yarn that's a little bit rustic. So this is nice and warm. And of course, the shape, it's very stay put. It's not going to fall off like a shawl, the pleat makes the front sort of flexible, so you can spread your arms out in it. If you wanted to, make the pattern, make the capelet deeper, that's a really easy modification. You just knit longer. So this is now available as an indie pattern in my shop. And I talked about in the previous episode, I believe, a sample done by Kathy up at the Knot House, where she held a sock yarn double with a mohair that turned out beautiful. It's so soft. It's airier than this one. Like I said, this is a more rustic yarn. So if you are in the Maryland area, you might want to pop by the Knot House and take a look at that. It's a nice interpretation of this design. And then I have a brand new pattern rather than a re-release, and this is the Witchcraft hat, which is part of the Fiber Seed Swifties program. So this is worked in the Fiber Seed Sprout TK. This color is mustard, and the variegated is called Grandpa's Sink. And true to form, this uses slipped stitches to create this diamond pattern all over the hat. And then I added a pom-pom. That's obviously optional, but I do have some sort of interesting crown shaping details that are kind of obscured by the pom-pom. But you can kind of see it there, how I used that main color yarn to come together at the top. So this is now available in my Ravelry shop. There is a introductory pricing offer for the first week. So the regular price for this pattern is $6. You can get the pattern for $5 this first week when you use the code Brujeria, and I'll put it in the show notes. So this is called Witchcraft. Brujeria just means witchcraft in Spanish. This is a sort of slouchy style hat. The brim is done in fisherman's rib, which is extra squishy, but it's not like super tight. And then you can see it just slouches a little bit at the top. You can obviously, make the hat as long or as short as you want, as slouchy as you want. I really like the fisherman's rib for the brim because it makes it, it's not sort of stuck to your head. It's a little bit more flexible. I've used the Old Norwegian cast on for this hat, which gives it a really nice, I'm gonna have hat here, a really nice firm edge. I think that looks really nice, and it makes it nice and sturdy. Like I said, this is done with slip stitches, so you are never working with more than one color at a time. You're just slipping the yarns to create that diamond pattern. And the slip stitches do sort of compress the fabric a little bit lengthwise. So the way that I blocked my hat was wet blocking. I put a small diameter plate into the crown, and then I propped the plate up on a can so that the hat could hang down, and the weight of the hat would pull it down, so it gives it, it would decompress sort of all those stitches and give it a nice drapey shape. So this is part of the Fiber Seed Swifties program, which means she will have color combos for this up on her site. I will include a link, and she also did a little interview with me, so you can read that over there as well. And again, this is available now in my Ravelry shop, and for the first week you get introductory pricing, only $5, so go ahead and grab the pattern. If you are a newsletter subscriber, of course you get an even bigger discount, so check your inbox for that. And if you are interested in becoming a subscriber, I will include the link to that sign up in the show notes. All right, so now I'm going to do a little stash flash and show you what has been added to my stash recently. Not that it needed it. So the first thing is that I had a really successful launch with Diego last month. So thank you to everybody who purchased the pattern. It's so nice to see people, enthusiastic about something that you've done. I know a lot of people have already cast on their Diego cardigans, a lot as part of the sweater along. I am loving seeing those. But I don't always have successful pattern launches, and what I consider successful will probably be a complete failure for Andrea Mallory or something, but it did very well for me, and I was very excited about that. So thank you for everyone who grabbed a copy of the pattern. And to celebrate, I bought myself a small gift, which is that I have been really wanting to try the nightshades from Harrisville Designs, which are these, all right, no cat fur, these sort of dark shades of black mixed with accent colors. So what I got are 4 shades that I can kind of fade together. So I've got sort of a teal, a dark blue, a purple, and a red. And actually the lighting here is actually kind of washing them out a little bit because they are a little bit darker than it looks. So I got 4 skeins of this, which is enough for a sweater. I don't know what it's going to be. I thought it would be a selfish sweater, but once I got them, I realized they might work really well for something I have in mind for 2020. So we shall see. All right, so the actual colors are, let's see, this is sort of the dark blue. I don't want that to wash out. And that's called Dashboard. The red is called Fever Dream. The teal is called Last Call. And then the purple is Talk Radio. And these are, let's see, American Cormo and Wool. I find that kind of odd because American Cormo is wool, but whatever. So they are woolen spun, which means they're going to be kind of lofty, not very tightly spun or plied. So generally speaking, that's not great for small cables and things. They get kind of washed out in the fuzzier yarn, but what I was thinking about wasn't cable anyway. So, and let's see, they're 250 yards each. So I've got about enough for a sweater and a sample in my size. So that's the first bit that was added to my stash. And then my husband insists on trying to keep the children busy on weekends. Like, I don't know about you, but as I recall from my childhood, on the weekends, my parents were like, go play with your toys. But he always wants to just do something with them. So this past weekend, my children love subway trains. I don't know why. So we decided we would give them a chance to ride the subway, and we would take the subway down to Old Town Alexandria, which driving is probably about 35-40 minutes, just because there's traffic, not because it's actually that far away. It's probably like 25 miles away. I don't know about public transportation in your city. In DC, the metro is not faster. It is steady, like you're not stuck in traffic, but it's not faster. And of course you don't have to deal with like parking, which is the big thing. But the kids enjoy it. So it took us quite a bit of time to get there because the trains run like every 20 minutes on the weekend. And then once we were on the trains, we realized that the stop in Old Town was actually closed for platform maintenance. So we took the train to the airport and then had to take a shuttle bus from the airport to Alexandria. So this took several hours, but the kids loved it. And since I was in Alexandria, I obviously had to stop by Fiber Space, which when I lived in Arlington was my local yarn shop. They have since moved to a different building. It's still lovely. And now they have these sheep out front and all this yarn bombing. It's very cute. So I had to stop in there. And of course I had to buy something. So I picked up, first the problem was I found this spin cycle. This is Dream State, which is their ostensibly worsted. Having used it, I personally would think it was closer to a DK. But I couldn't decide between these two colors. So I had to purchase both. And then I was like, well, what am I gonna do with just these two colors? And sort of right across the aisle, they had some Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in this beautiful bright. Actually, this is, I wouldn't say bright blue, it's getting washed out by the light. The colorway is called Almanac, and this is more of a navy blue, which I am a sucker for blues and browns together. I think they're a great combo. I'm pretty sure I believe this because once as a teenager, I wore something blue and brown, and my mother told me blue and brown didn't go together. Obviously she was wrong, because I think they're gorgeous together. So I don't know what they're going to be. I'm kind of thinking a heavier weight shawl. But again, no decisions have been made yet. I just think they're a beautiful combo. I love these colors together. And so we'll see what happens. So those are the additions to my stash this month. Next month is Rhinebeck and India Entangled. So there will probably be many more additions. We might have to spread them out a little more. All right, and I have one event to tell you about this month. If you're not in the Maryland area, my apologies, this won't be very interesting for you. But if you are anywhere in sort of the DMV, I hope you will come check this out. I'm going to be teaching at Knit Locally in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I'm going to be teaching a workshop on Diego. So we are going to be talking about how to choose the right size and ease and how to pick the right yarn. We're going to be going over the saddle shoulder sweater construction, which I know is new to a lot of people. And then we're going to be doing some techniques to get you ready to knit your sweater. So we'll be learning to cable without a cable needle, which is, there's a lot of cables in this project, and it's just going to go much faster if you don't need to keep stopping to pick up and put down your cable needle. And we're also going to be learning about the tubular bind off, which I use on the sleeves, and is a nice technique just to give any of your knits a very nice finished edge in ribbing. So we're going to be going over how to do that as well. And then the night before, so I'm teaching on Saturday, September 28th. The workshop is from 1 to 4. And the night before, we're going to have a little wine and cheese meet and greet trunk show. So I'm going to have a bunch of my samples on display. I'll be at the shop to say hi to people. And there'll be wine and cheese, which I don't know about you, but I'm always in favor of. So if you are in the Maryland area or in the district in Northern Virginia, that's in Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is not going to be too far for you, probably 45 minutes at most. On Saturday, September 28th, the workshop, and then the night before, Friday, September 27th, 6:30, I believe, will be the meet and greet, wine and cheese, mini trunk show. So if you're in the area, I hope you will come check that out and say hi. All right, and that's everything I have for you this month. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 9 of Hilo and Stitch. You can find show notes with links to everything that I talked about over at mediaperuana.com/Hilo and Stitch. Again, a special thank you to my Patreon patrons who support my design business and the podcast. If you are interested in supporting both of those things, you can find out more information at patreon.com/mediaperuana. I have 3 levels of sponsorship with different perks and freebies for each, so I hope you'll check that out. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Facebook as Media Peruana. And you can find past and future episodes of Hilo and Stitch on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or your favorite podcatcher app. And you can also find the episodes on my website at mediaperuana.com/Hilo Stitch. I will see you next time.